Well, you heard all the perspectives on these issues from an inclusive perspective, plus, well, from the farmer's perspective. Now, let's come back to our in-house analyst while we're talking more about these issues. Professor Adeniyi joins me now to stretch this. Good to see you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Suleiman.
And,
good to see you too.
The good thing here is that food, who doesn't need food? And that is why this is so important.
Yeah.
And we spoke about securing the one who is also securing the nation, the farmer. He needs to be safe first. Now, you listen to both of them. Speak to us what resonates most, the most for you on this particular issue of food security.
Yeah, I remember Patrick Wilmoth, the very popular political sociologist, who was sort of embellishing Karl Marx, saying that, he was just putting it very simply, and said that food is like the infrastructure around which all other superstructures revolve, and that if you do not eat, you cannot think. Food is the foundation of everything. And of course, the government focusing on it now, declaring a kind of emergency, it looks a welcome development because our food can be very, very crucial. Otherwise, I would have said that beyond food, there are other things around us in this country that need us to declare emergency on. But if government is choosing to start at the level of food, it's a welcome development. But we also have to be mindful of what has become, a kind of decimal in this country, where we have very good salutary policy pronouncements, and of course the bane, like one of the resource persons said, is always the implementation. Now, going forward with this development, with the new energy that the Bola Tinubu administration is adding into this mix, can we up the ante in terms of implementation, in terms of execution, by probably having a very strong monitoring and evaluation mechanism, so that the process will go beyond this mere policy pronouncement to ensuring that there's implementation of all the policies, all the palliatives that they are rolling out, to mitigate the pains from, the removal of subsidy, which we know in the first instance that it was going to have a domino effect, on prices of goods and services. So the situation we are in now is not unpredictable. It's actually predictable. Every time you increase, you jack up, you move the price when there's an increase in PMS, of course we know that it will rub off on all other essential commodities in the system. And that's what we're witnessing now. Government is responding with palliatives, but what is the guarantee that these palliatives will actually get down to the people? And that's why we're saying that let's raise the game, Suleiman, in monitoring and evaluation. How are we going to do it? Is it going to be the Office of Policy Coordination? Or which office is going to do it? We need to be told this. Otherwise, like one of the resource persons said, it's going to be a problem of implementation again. We have fantastic policy, but implementation is a problem.
So it comes back to who's best to drive the policy. So because listening to Jake says, well, good policy, but, well, wrong persons driving the policy or policy implementation?
Well, for me, I think it's neither here nor there, because we're all Nigerians. We cannot bring angels to come and drive it. Government has enough machinery to drive these things. I don't also think that the solution is in establishing another organ of government to drive it. We have more than enough organs, that can drive any of these policies. It's just proper identification of these organs. The policy coordination department is there, the presidency there, national planning is there. What about the ministries themselves that are supposed to roll out these things? What about the CBN that is doing the funding? I mean, they are big enough. They have offices, branches across the state, across the federation. I think the problem is one of commitment, the absence of patriotism and nationalism that we keep talking about, and the fact that nobody feels that sense of ownership, that sense of responsibility. It's just a question around, it's an opportunity for me to cash out, and otherwise we won't be back to where we are now. If you consider the trillions of naira that were expended in the last dispensation, through the instrument of one particular ministry, one or two ministries, trillions of naira, and of course the arguments are still rife in circles that there was no evidence, of expenditure. Although that is still, the jury is still out on that. Maybe with time we'll get to know the details. But that questions are still hanging around those expenditure. Maybe
Now,
whether we know or not, we don't know.
let's close on this, and it has to do with transportation, and you can actually link that with the issue of security. He spoke about transportation, especially if you look at it on perishable goods. That's where we need the real system. And security, again, will be...
Yeah, security, I'm sure. Yeah,
will be brought to the fore.
I think but if you watch the statement by Mr. Dele, like, I think they were very smart to say that our government will do all it can, to strengthen the security architecture, because, of course, you look at, I heard you referring to the farmers killed in Zabamari, very tragic thing, and of course, the farmer had a clashes still going on, and people are still being murdered across the country, in different parts of the country, so this is actually very scary. The regular farmer, we don't want to go into risk his or her life, and sometimes they are being made to even pay to get into their farms, So all kinds of brick walls and impediments. But like the government said, well, they are mindful of this, they up their game with respect to protection of citizens. Well, if this can be done, of course, the business will thrive once again, But as it is, there are so many pieces that still need to be fixed in the jigsaw before we can say it is Uhuru.
And I think you and I should also think of going into farming. What do you think?
What makes you think I'm not farming yet?
I can see. Now I got that out of you. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, many thanks for speaking with us. Yeah.
Thank you, Sulaiman.
A fine place for us to say many thanks for being such nice company all through the week here on Arise Prime Time. I'm Sulaiman on behalf of the entire team. It's bye-bye and have a blessed night.